Welcome to the intro to episode 38.
Yep.
My name is Phil.
I'm Chris, and I'm back. Woo!
Woo! Today, we talk some news.
Yeah, talked a little bit of news. Gave you another update on the Destiny DLC that's soon to come out.
Mm-hmm. And then we spend most of the episode talking about two games that we played for a stream.
Yep.
We played as Jason in Mortal Kombat X, and then we played Wolfenstein: The Old Blood.
Yep. It's confusing. We always have to pause and think about it as we're talking about
The Old Blood. Yeah. So we played The Old Blood.
We played The Old Blood, the new standalone expansion pack for Wolfenstein that just came out.
It's a little bit shorter of an episode this week.
Yep.
So no one freak out if all of a sudden it's not 4 hours long.
Yeah. I don't know if people prefer it to be shorter or prefer it to be longer, but...
Probably medium. They probably like medium.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't an option.
No, yeah. For me, I like longer podcasts because I have it on while I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
And so usually it's beneficial if they're longer so I don't have to find like 4 or 5 podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. I guess that's it.
Like and follow us on iTunes and rate us.
Yes. Please do.
And then we'll be good to go.
The reason I clap is because when we record 2 different audio tracks,
then
it
you can
syncs
sync
it up.
them on the clap. Yeah. That's what I immediately, once I said that, I was like, I know why. I'm just an idiot.
Yeah. Anyways.
Welcome to the
episode. I'm Chris.
I'm Phil.
So I'm back, I guess.
Yeah.
Officially.
Your business trip is over.
Yeah, my business trip to Playoff Land.
Yep.
Do you have any news?
News.
No news.
No, all I can think about is like PT trailer, or the playable trailer got pulled entirely from...
Yeah, you can't...
Because we talked about it last week, though, or 2 weeks ago, so we don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
But you can't even play it anymore, basically.
Well, you can if it's on your hard drive.
Right, but you can't re-download it even if you had previously.
Yeah, so if you downloaded, deleted it, and was just like, well, I'll keep this forever.
Right.
Like, no.
Yeah, I saw an article, I just saw the headline about how they accidentally made this the coolest game ever. Because it's,
Yeah.
it's like a unique thing, it's really good. You can only get it if you already have it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing. Like, I think it builds up more hype because you can't get it now. Like,
now you gotta go over to a friend's house to try it out. And,
yeah. I mean, it's one of those, it's games that you just hear about. You're like, I'll never get a chance to play it. But I don't know. It was unique, but it's like a one-time thrill.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a game that you'd ever play again. You'd be scared,
Yeah, you're not gonna keep playing through it again and again. Yeah, it's just fun to have on your hard drive.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I mean, they're doing a Gears of War remake.
Just the first one.
First, it was kind of announced as a Marcus Phoenix collection. I don't know if that was a joke or not by head of Microsoft, Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
And then he took that down and said that was wrong. And then the Black Tusk, who are creating the new Gears of War, said that they are not doing it. They're doing it. They're only doing the first game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of, they're trying to follow the Halo model where it's like they do a remake before they do an official release.
Yeah.
And I believe next fall would be the 10-year anniversary of the first game. So it makes sense that it would come out next year. Especially if they're coming Halo this year, there's no reason to have
Halo
2 blockbuster first parties, because there's not really a lot of first party stuff anymore.
No, it's all remakes.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like,
there's
no franchises for the most part are even first party. Everything is kind of on every console now because people want to make money.
Which is the smart way to do it if
Yeah.
you're in business. I don't know, man. I'm just... Like, I don't have a new system, so I guess I can't get too outraged.
Right.
But if I had anything, Xbox One or PlayStation 4, I'd just be so disappointed with, like, yeah, it's cool to have all these HD remakes.
Yeah.
But it's like, I played some of these games. I don't want to play them again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the 10th anniversary stuff if they do a huge overhaul like they did for the Halo stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, even if they just redid all the cutscenes like they did for Halo 2 anniversary, just awesome, like, CG... like movie quality.
Yeah.
Then I'm like that. Yeah, that's cool. The thing about the first Gears of War, I mean, I guess all of them was like it was so far ahead of its time graphically. Like it was the best looking game on the 360.
Yeah.
So
And
that
it
was like
the
cool. If
pioneer of cover-based shooting.
Right.
But the thing is, like, now cover-based shooting is like old hat.
Yeah.
Like, everyone does it. Like, Gears still does it well. But it's just like, it's not as unique as it once was. So it's like, besides the updated graphics, you know, what are you going there for?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I probably if they do this well, I'll probably buy it just because. Well, actually, I'll say the normal coin flip for me is whether or not the achievements are good.
Yeah.
If the achievements are exactly the same as they were for Gears of War 1, which I doubt they will be, then I probably won't get it because it's a lot of multiplayer stuff.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to do that stuff. Even
I
without,
think it's
I mean,
still
I
gonna
didn't
be a
do
lot of
boosting,
multiplayer stuff.
but I mean, I just want an excuse to get those achievements again, to get more achievements for games that I like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if they came out with Halo Anniversary 2 and it's just the same stuff but all new achievements, I would probably buy it again and get all the achievements again.
That's an intense dedication.
Yeah. I mean, if they were exactly the same achievements, I wouldn't, but if they were, you know...
What if one's different?
Just one achievement, then I'd have to get it.
It's 49 of the same, and they took out one and they replaced it.
Yeah.
It's just called like the super awesome achievement,
Right.
And you get it by pressing start.
Right. Well, it's if
like
you
one
have
of
the
the
printer
Simpsons.
from the first game.
Press start to play.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't like. I was gonna say I don't know if I preferred that they just do one game or if they did the whole collection, like the first 3 games, the trilogy. I mean, it was the only standalone trilogy to all take place on one generation.
Yeah.
So that's something. So that would have been cool if they would have updated it. But at the same time, it's like the graphics from like 3 / what was it called? Judgment are not that different. Like they came out like 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago. So it's like I don't feel like unless if they use Unreal 4, is that what they're on 5?
7.
At least,
yeah.
Unless if they use the brand new Unreal and somehow make it absolutely amazing, there's not going to be a huge difference. Gears of War 1, yeah. If you make Gears of War 1 with today's graphics, sure, that's going to be enough of a jump to make a difference. But
see, I'd almost feel like I'd want them. They might not have to touch up 3 in Judgment.
Yeah.
But come with the collection, because if hypothetically I had an Xbox One and I never played any Gears.
Right. It'd be good to jump in and have the whole collection.
Let me have the collection,
Yeah.
and then I can play 1, 2, 3, Judgment, whatever it's going to be. If you sold me one for $50, let's say, whatever, and then a couple years later you do a remaster
for
of
another
2
$50
and then another $50,
yeah.
and you're just like, okay, now you're really just milking this as much as you can.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of know that.
Yeah, but it's just like there's a difference between like, here is some bullshit,
Yeah.
rebuy all these old games, but then there's like, oh, and buy them individually, all at full price tags.
Yeah, but I think for them, if Black Tusk is the one doing the remake, I kind of like that they're only doing one, just because that means they're gonna make a new one. Then, like, because they're a small studio that just sort of, I mean, they used to be, I think, Microsoft Studios Vancouver.
Yeah.
But like, I like that. Okay, they're just doing this to get their toes wet, and then they're actually coming out with a full like Gears of War 5 or something. Because if they did like a whole collection, it probably would be another year or 2 for them to come out with a new IP. Well, not a new IP, but a new game in this franchise. So I think it's a good compromise.
Agreed.
Yeah. That's all my news, I guess.
Did we talk about the Batman Arkham Knight?
Yeah, the switching between characters sort of thing?
No, I was going to say the pre-order bonus. I mean, now this news is old news. But
yeah,
they
it's
initially
super old
were
at
just
this point.
Pay $40, we're not going to tell you what's in it.
Yeah.
And then people actually, for once,
got really upset about it.
Got really upset before shelling over $40.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, oh, fine, here's what we have.
Yeah.
You bastards need to know.
Yeah, it sounded like it wasn't that they hadn't decided yet. It was that they wanted to keep it a secret because it might ruin some story stuff.
Yeah.
But
you can't.
After they released it, then you were like, okay, it's fine. Like, we could have always said that. I mean, it sort of kind of spoils a little bit, but not enough that
you
can ask for $40 and not tell me what I'm getting.
Just trust us.
Yeah,
man.
it's all right, man.
It's
Just
a
trust us.
$100 game.
Yeah.
Like, no. The games will eventually get to $100 on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, because right now
they
we have
basically are.
some
if you want to get the
blockbusters
DLC.
that have DLCs that become $100.
Yeah.
But I think in the future games are just going to start, like, this is going to be more of a norm. that's going to be like, here's your $60 base game with like a $20 DLC.
Yeah.
And they've worked the DLC. Like, they've worked at the same time they made the game, and they just do that really shitty, like, we're cutting it last minute.
Yeah.
So then people are just like, wow, for a full game I'm paying $80, and eventually it's just going to keep climbing. They'll never, the retail will never be more than 60.
Right.
But this is...
They're just cutting stuff out of their game.
They're just cutting stuff
they've
out
been
of
doing
their
that
game.
for a while. Like,
Yeah.
there's that old, I don't know exactly what it's called, but there's the visualization they've been doing. Every couple of years they update it of, like, the picture of Mona Lisa. And, like, okay, what you would get in, like, 1997 is, like, you get the full painting, and then for, like, DLC or new content, you get, like, a small little extra painting.
Yep.
And, like, now it's like, oh... Like, you get the full retail is like the bottom left corner of the painting,
Yeah.
and then if you want everything, you got to buy all the DLC packs, and there's pre-order bonuses and all this other stuff. So to get the full picture, you have to put out so much more money
Just...
to get the same amount that you were getting 20 years
crazy to
ago.
me.
Yeah,
It's crazy to me, especially, like, looking at, I mean... Especially, like, deluxe collector's editions. Like, the Mortal Kombat thing before it came out
with that statue and stuff.
It was like, yeah, deluxe combo expert
Yeah.
editions, like $160, or it wasn't, but
Yeah.
that's kind of just like, guys, it's a fucking video game,
Right.
And Mortal Kombat's a lot of fun, and I enjoy playing it, but I'm not gonna pay like $150 for a fighting game,
Right. What do you think's better when they're that expensive and they come with no extra in-game content, or if it's all in-game content? Like for the Mortal Kombat, you got like this big statue and some other things, but like there's games that it's like, okay, you buy the $100 version and you get like a bunch of DLC or skins or all this other stuff. What do you think is better?
If neither.
Well, I know, but like of the two,
would I rather spend $100 and get the base game and a statue, or pay $100
Yeah.
and get the base game and all the DLC?
yeah,
Base game and all the DLC, I think is a better thing, just because, like, for the most part, like, statues and all that stuff's really nice, but I don't have room or
Right.
anything where I'd put it. Like,
and we're kind of at the age where we don't want to display those
yeah,
things.
I don't want to display
Yeah.
like 200 Goro statues.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, your game is already overpriced at $100, but at least I know that anything that's going to be released, I can just download.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like, oh, I paid $100, I got the statue and the game, but now if I want to get Jason and Predator, then it's another $30.
$30, yeah.
It's like, okay, now you're just crazy.
Yeah. Oh, some other news that I thought about is the ukulele Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah. Fastest to $1 million.
Yep. So if you're not familiar, so Rare Studios, the guys that originally did Banjo-Kazooie,
Yep.
and then also some people that worked on Donkey Kong Country. So they sort of teamed up. They wanted to do a 3D platformer, an old school, like co-op. I don't know exactly what it's called. It's like a dual character.
Yeah. I mean,
which is like Banjo-Kazooie is what it is.
Exactly like Banjo-Kazooie.
But that, the two characters' names hyphenated are Yuka and Laylee, which I think is a really good name together. On its own, it kind of looks stupid, but you're like, oh, ukulele, that makes more sense. That's better, I think, than Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, well, Banjo-Kazooie's nonsense.
Right. Well, I mean, they're two instruments on their own, but this one, it's like it makes an instrument when you put them together, so it's a little bit better. But yeah, they went to Kickstarter. I think they only asked for like 150,000 pounds, like English pounds. And within 40 minutes of when this Kickstarter went up, it went up May 1st. By like 12:40 a.m., it had already reached its goal. And then by I think 6 hours, it hit 1 million. So
I think it hit million before 6 hour mark.
£1 million.
Oh, £1 million, okay.
Yeah, it hit $1 million way before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was only asking. I mean, it was a pretty small number it was asking for, and people just obviously went crazy for it. I think one of the reasons they did was one, the lineage, the legacy these guys are bringing to it.
Yeah.
But they came up with like a really good demo video. They spent 3 months making some demos, making the characters, making some levels, showing you exactly what they think the game would look like, and people were like 100% on board.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really did it. I think that demo really is what solidified it. Like, people like the idea, but I don't think it would have gone that high that fast.
No, I mean, there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of it's probably like nostalgia based, where it's just like, I want a 3D platformer. I really love Banjo-Kazooie, and I know you guys know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot is like, hey, look, they already have some work put in here. This isn't just coming in and scrap. They have a good demo. They have, they already have character design, stuff like that.
And they obviously they were getting funding for somewhere else. Like even in their video, their pitch video, they say, we could have done this on our own and made it a decent game, but this extra money from Kickstarter will help us make what we really feel like we could do if we had a full studio backing.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get their stretch, like they were hitting stretch goals before they could even get them out. Like they were trying to like create new stretch goals as it was happening, and they couldn't keep up with it. Some of them are really cool though. Like there's going to be like co-op. There's going to be 4-player like party mode sort of thing. There's going to be bosses on every level.
I need more Viva Pinata party animals.
Yeah,
so I'm hoping it's something similar.
Yeah. I think once it hit £1 million, it was like you get like a Nintendo 64 shader and game mode. So now you can play the entire game to look like Nintendo 64. Yeah, exactly. But that cost £1 million.
Yep.
But yeah, the time. So there's still I think like 48 days left at the time when we're recording this. And they're already at like 2.25 million American dollars. I mean, what do you do now if you're that company that only asked for 241,000 American dollars, and a week later you now have 10 times that amount?
You reach out to Tim Schafer of Double Fine because he went through it with Broken Age, and he gives you some tips as to what not to do and what to do.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like, except for these cool features that they're adding on, or the different levels, or the new characters they say they're going to add, I don't think the game can keep up with the amount of money and now expectation that's been built up over this game.
That's the thing, though, is because it's still technically going to be a $15 game. Because if you pledged $15, it was a copy of like the PC game and like a code for either Xbox One or PlayStation 4, depending on if it hit those stretch goals, which it obviously did.
Yep.
So it's like, I mean, I guess you could try and turn this into a big budget $60 game, but it's just like, I feel like that's already against the plan that they had set in motion.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
So it's like, you don't want to grow too big too fast, though.
Yeah.
If you had, like, say, 10 worlds, we'll just say whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you're like, that's our plan, we're going to be 10, I think that's a good pacing. We have, our ice level and our fire level and our water level. And then all of a sudden you get, $3 million and you're just like, let's do 50 worlds. All of a sudden you're just like, okay, now like things kind of just get sloppy and convoluted, and we're like expanding too much, and it's like they need to learn some restraint when they're like, hey, we have a lot of money, but let's not blow it out of proportion.
Well, I mean, I wonder. I'm sure they're going to do like a price model for this, but if they bite the bullet and they give everybody that donated the game for $15, but then release it as like, if they release it to the public as like a $30, $60 game, because I mean, I think it was like something like 50,000 people had donated to the Kickstarter. So if they come out with a full release, you're going to think they're going to do way more numbers than that. So if they give it to 50,000 people for a discount, maybe they don't care in the long run.
Well, but you got to think, look, that's coming out of your pocket before the game even starts selling. So if you say, let's say it stops at 50,000 people, and you're comping them in essentially an extra $15, normally it's a $30 game, and you're comping, 50,000, like, that's a.
But what's the alternative? I mean, the alternative is you give them all that game for free. And so it's one thing to give them $15 discount, another to like, because they're all going to get it for free, so they're not going to buy it anyways, right? Yeah. So that's 50,000 people. But like, if it's a full console release, you're going to think it's going to do at least 500,000, 1 million. Seems to be like even games that aren't that successful.
Black Site Area 51.
Well, no, but I wouldn't consider that. Like, that doesn't have as much buzz and excitement around it as this game does.
I agree. I think it's tough because, like I said, I mean, it's good to expand on the game because you have all this extra money.
Yeah.
But, like, you also don't want to go over. You don't want to turn this into a $60 game. Maybe you can turn it into a $30, and then you just, like you said, you bite the bullet and you hope that the rest of the sales pick up.
Yeah.
That selling it on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and people are all going to, download it and buy it and kind of make up for that lost numbers. But, I mean, that's all really dependent on, how quick can they pump this out while there's kind of hype behind it. Because if it's all of a sudden, like, I didn't really check into it. If it's still like, hey, this is a 3-year, 2-year, whatever it is, away, like, there's all this hype now, but that is certainly going to die down. And if it releases and it's only like, hey, that game that raised a lot of money on Kickstarter is released now, like, it might not have... Like, if you release tomorrow, you know, whatever. Like, there's so
everyone's
much
going to
hype.
buy it.
Everyone's going to buy it. But, like, you have to think there's going to be some teeter off in 2 years, however long it takes to make. So it's you kind of have to weigh, like, how many people do we really think are going to purchase this versus how much can we give away?
Yeah, but I think that the hype's going to hurt them in the long run because the people are going to be like, oh, this is the campaign that made, you know, $3 million. Like, this is a $3 million game. Like, they're going to be like, what are they, I mean, they say it for everything, but they're going to be like, what do they spend the money on?
Yeah, you're never going to win if you make that money.
Yeah.
That kind of money. Like, if they made, you know, just their bare bones, people would have complained that the game felt cheap.
Yeah.
And if they make $20 million, people are going to be like, this isn't a $20 million game.
No.
So you're never going to win.
Yeah.
So, like, that argument that they immediately have to kind of just, like, be like, okay, well, there's people who are going to hate. Hate is going to hate. I think, to quote the great, is it Jamie Foxx?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's the first and only person to say that.
But yeah.
Anyways, okay, I think that was enough news. Unless we think of something else.
That's fine with me.
Is there anything that you've been playing the last 2 days? You played some more Saints Row. I don't know if you talked about Saints Row.
I've played some more Saints Row.
Just
cleaning up achievements.
Yeah.
It's boring. It's not fun. It is less fun than Saints Row 1 at this point.
Yeah.
And part of that is probably because my just recollection of Saints Row 1 is now so far in the past.
Right, and you've done so much of the same, and we've gone through the frustration of trying to beat the main story of Saints Row 2.
It's just like, I keep thinking, like, I don't have that much left to do on my own. Like, obviously I have competitive multiplayer, which is going to be a big chunk, and we're going to do the tags. But it's like, I can't have that much, and every time I look at that achievement list, there's a big fucking chunk.
The thing is,
just like, it never ends.
It
like,
each
one takes like 4 hours. Like,
and it's like jumps, you get like 5 or 10 points for it.
Like, I did stunt jumps with cars.
Yeah.
That was like 3 hours total of game. Stunt plane modes. That's like 2 hours. I did all of the goddamn diversions.
Yeah.
Like, each one is probably like a half hour to 45 minutes if you are good.
Yeah, if you don't fail and like there's no glitches.
And I will say the tow truck is broken.
Yeah.
And it is awful, and I will give you tips when you attempt to.
Okay.
But it's like, so then like that's a couple hours. I still have races to do. We still have hitman targets.
Yeah.
You know, and we still have tags. And it's just like, and then that's not even getting into the competitive multiplayer, which is...
It's going to take forever.
Yeah, which is probably another 30, 40 hours.
Yeah.
And that's strictly hardcore boosting. That's like, I don't plan on doing any of that legit.
Oh, no.
So
I don't even know if we could.
Well,
with 2 people?
No, I think 4 is minimum to get into a game, so you always have to hope for 2 randoms. I don't think there's 4 people
playing this game.
So it's just like, I just want to be done with this game, and I never will again.
So Saints Row 3 is coming up soon, I guess, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think after this I'm going to get it. I'm going to buy it.
Well, it was the Games for Gold a while back, so I have it all ready to go. Well, all ready to never play it. I'm going to delete off my hard drive so I don't accidentally get an achievement for it.
Yeah. You're waiting for a while.
Yeah. All right, I got a little bit of Destiny news.
Okay.
It's not exactly old news at this point, but by the time this episode comes out, tomorrow, Tuesday, May 19th, is when the big DLC for Destiny comes out. But they did a live stream of the Prison of Elders, which is the 3-player competitive arena-based, horde, wave, whatever you want to call it. And it looks interesting. Like, it looks fun. So basically what you are is, like, you're in this prison that has a bunch of different things in it. You start off in this airlock in the middle. There's, like, 4 different doors, and it's, like, the different factions, the different alien races and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then there's this giant sort of... It looks like... I don't know. I didn't really pay attention that much to the story of it. But it's like one of those giant purple eyeball sort of things, but it's been modded, like it's been taken over. It's somebody hacked one of those things, so it's kind of just like an announcer drone that goes around now and does stuff, and it tells you what you have to do. It's like tells you like, okay, go through one of these doors, and then each door, like I said, represents one of the different factions, one of the different bad guys, and then you go there, and then there's like a big arena level that looks like, it follows the themes of whatever the bad guys are. Then, you have to beat wave after wave, and then there's a modifier that's added to it each time. It tells you what it is, like,
falling skulls.
Well, yeah. Hell hands grab you, acid rain. No, it's things like that are normally in when you do daily missions or weekly stuff, like juggler, which is no ammo drops for whatever weapon you're using, or bad guys melee will kill you in one hit. Things like that. But there's new stuff that it wasn't in previously in the game, so there's new modifiers they've added to it. Also, they throw secondary objectives at you, so rather than just sitting in one corner like killing a bunch of guys as they come at you, you have to keep moving around the map to disarm bombs, to capture areas, to kill a specific like souped up bad guy before he reaches a target. So there's all these different things they have, because they said, the way they've designed the map, it looks like there's no camping spots for the most part, so you are going to have to move anyways. But then they've added this extra thing to sort of up the intensity and also make you keep moving around. Another cool thing is they've added, it's similar to like the sword from the last DLC that you could like pick up and run around. Either bad guys will drop it, or it'll be like a gift at the end of a round. Sometimes he'll send you extra ammo, or he'll send you this weapon. And it's like this solar cannon, I think is what it's called. So it's this big like rocket launcher that's always on fire, and it shoots either a rocket that then explodes into fire, or it shoots a secondary, which is kind of like a grenade that's also fire. Comes with 10 shots. When you hold it goes in the third person's perspective, just like any of the other like relic sort of things, like shields or swords or things like that. So that's kind of cool. That's different. And so you beat, I think it's 4 waves. You randomly get sub bosses and stuff like that, and then the 5th wave is like a giant boss plus a whole bunch of enemies. So it does seem like it's a good mix between like strike missions and then also like raids. It's not exactly like raids, but it has the elements of a whole bunch of enemies. You have to do sort of semi-crazy task while you're still beating a lot of enemies. And then if you get to the very end, it's funny that when the Bungie stream, they actually were not able to complete it. They died before they got to the end. You get this treasure key. You get a treasure chest key, and then like the bottom of the airlock opens up and it goes down. And there's 3 treasure chests for each character, and they get to open it up, and there's a bunch of fun gear and stuff like that. Also, I guess there is 4 or 5 different difficulty levels for it. Level like 28, 30, 32, 34, and 35, which is one above the highest level you can be right now. The level cap is at 34. Mm-hmm. And the 28 level one, you get match made with a team, and you can do it as many times as you want. But the other ones, you can only do once per week. You can keep doing it, you just won't get the rewards. So it's kind of like the other daily or weekly missions, like the raids. You can only get the gear once a week. But yeah, it looks fun. It looks like this is a decent replacement for a raid. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's something different, and it has more replayability, I think, than the raids, because you're doing different things different time. Like you're doing different things every time. Then you add in the different modifiers and the different bosses and the different sub objectives. So I don't know. Looks fun. Looking forward to it.
I did not watch it.
Yeah,
but
figured.
It sounds like it's at least more interesting in terms of doing something different. Yeah. Like raids, I know, are the high point of the game, but like as long as you have something that now is, still entertaining. The only thing, when you were saying all that stuff, the only thing it made me think of, and I know you didn't play the game, is like Borderlands had a DLC. It was called Mad Moxie's Arena, and it was literally just like an arena map with waves and waves and waves of enemies and stuff that you had to do, and it like the achievements for it was what made it terrible, because you had to beat like all 4 arenas, and like that's like 100 waves or something in each arena, so it was brutal. But that's what I was thinking when you were saying. I'm just like, ugh.
No, it seems like it's not as repetitive as other things. Even like Firefight, you would be in one map, one location, and you would keep going as many rounds or as many chapters and stuff, and every once in a while you get like a boss wave. Yeah. But this is like, okay, you go into one arena, you do one like there's kind of multiple waves, but it's like one round in each location.
Okay.
And then you go, I think you probably do one of each 4, or it might mix it up, and then you go to their boss wave where it's like a new boss. That's another thing too, like it's given them the opportunity to do variations on enemies also. Like there was this one Cabal commander that he kept resetting his shields, it was saying. So like the shield that he normally has is affected by like solar damage, and so if you pop that, then he could then change it to like, okay, now you got to use void damage, or you got to use, arc damage. So you had to constantly be switching up. Like, you couldn't just use one weapon all the time.
Yeah,
and he could bring it back whenever he wanted. Instead of before, like if you pop somebody's shields, if you keep putting shots on them, they're not going to regen. But he had the ability to do that. And also there was like this giant knight that showed up one time, a hive knight, and it was like the size of like 2 ogres put together. It was basically the size of Crota, but it was just a giant knight. So I mean, there's fun little different variations on it.
Cool.
Yep, but I'm sure that's something that you're never going to play. But between this and the new strike and all this stuff, like this, and they've teased the new expansion that's going to come out in the fall. They trademarked a name. I forgot what it's called now.
Wasn't it supposed to be Comet? But that
Comet was like the development
default
name,
yeah.
but Bungie officially trademarked a name.
Okay.
And it was something like, I don't know, Thieves, something of Thieves, or King of Thieves, or I don't know. But both they teased it and Activision actually teased it in they had their like yearly earnings or their quarterly earning reports or whatever. Mm-hmm. It said how like between Destiny and I think it was like Hearthstone or something like that, it's like a MMORPG they have is 50 million users between those two games and something like $1.4 billion.
Good.
Yeah, and their quarterly earnings were something crazy. They're expected to make over $5 billion this year.
Good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the next Call of Duty.
And Guitar Hero.
And Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Glad all that money that they made went right into Guitar Hero.
Yep.
Guy's shaky handy cam and some fucking poser band up top.
Also, not to circle back around to news, I guess Destiny was kind of news also, but they announced that, the Guitar Hero paraphernalia that you buy, the guitars and stuff, for the new Guitar Hero will be you can use it then for the future installments of Guitar Hero.
Good.
So people got super upset. Yeah, they're already planning future installments. I don't think that's exactly what they meant by when they were just saying, hey, like you can use this, it'll be compatible. And also it's pretty self-explanatory that if you buy something, it'll be compatible with the same generation of console. Yeah. So to say that was a little bit weird, other than it was kind of like they were announcing there's going to be sequels before they used another one. People got very upset about
bands.
it. Yeah.
Let's go back to bringing back Guitar Hero,
yep.
AC/DC, and Van Halen, and
right.
Aerosmith. And just saturate the market.
Right.
We don't
let's
have a market
kill it already.
Right now.
Yeah. Let's come out with 4 Guitar Hero games before the first one's ever released. Yeah. Let's announce all of these Guitar Hero games. Also with Rock Band, they've kind of been doing, IGN has been doing like an in-depth thing, and they keep covering different things like, oh, this is how they author the songs. Mm-hmm. And one of the ones they did was about the instruments and stuff. And that one was pretty interesting because for the most part, cosmetically, they kind of look the same. But they've partnered with Madcap, and they said they've used all this experience they've had over the different generations of the different rock bands plus Beatles Rock Band, and like they said, they're made just so much better now. The quality of the materials is higher. The under the hood stuff is a lot more sophisticated. Yeah. And the guy that was at IGN that was there, that was feeling the stuff, he's like, yeah, this feels like so much more authentic, and it feels like heavier, and like the buttons, you don't have to push them in as far. There's not that clicking sound all the time. So the guy from Harmonix 2 told a story about how when the Rock Band won drums, like they went to the factory in China to try them out. And when the guy sat behind the drums and started playing, like the engineers like freaked out. They're like, no, you can't hit it this hard. You can't do that. He's like, their drums, they need to be durable and stuff. And that was one of the reasons they went through all this sort of growing pains with the first generation of their stuff.
Foot pedal breaking,
all that stuff. They kind of tried to fix that with then putting a metal plate over it. But they said all that stuff, like they went through like a lot of learning experiences. And so just everything, it may look kind of similar. They said they didn't want to spend the money to change everything and put it into cosmetics. They wanted to put all the money into making it a better instrument. Yeah. So.
I mean, that's good. I'd rather.
Yeah.
an actual high quality product, then they're just like, hey, we want to.
Right, hey, this one has a pink hat now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now the guitar comes in a different color. It's turquoise.
Right. And they're working on an adapter so you can use old gen hardware that you have. So if you have a bunch of guitars already, you don't need to buy new ones if you don't want to.
Side story, Caitlin went to a garage sale or estate sales or whatever it is. Apparently there's a big one that happens around Lake Bluff. I don't know. She went with her mom.
Yeah, I saw signs for that.
And I was like, hey, if you find any like video game stuff, like old video game stuff, like shoot me a text or a picture, and then I will, I want to see if I want to buy it because who would want an old system? She said she sent me like 2 pictures. It was just like really old like Game Boy games, stuff like that. Like pass,
like buy them all.
Pass. But then she's like, there was like 40 Guitar Hero and Rock Band controllers.
Yeah.
Like every house was getting rid of their plastic instruments. And like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like people are just kind of sick of hanging on to that stuff.
I'm guessing is that those kids have grown up and moved out. Yeah. And that's why their parents are getting rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's just like, here you go.
Yeah, I mean the genre has been dead for a while. Like, if they would have waited a couple months, they might have gotten some use out of it, but I don't think the parents know or care about that.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And probably, I mean, even the kids who used to play it might just be like,
no.
I'm done.
Yeah. Well, the fact that, like, GameStop stopped selling and, buying them, that it was dead. If they're not going to get money off of it, that there's no market there.
If you can't even sell it for the $2 in-store credit, then it's pretty bad.
But yeah, so should we talk about the games we played today?
Yeah.
All right.
Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, it's this one. This that. Oh my goodness.
Next one is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Just dusts herself off.
She'll be fine.
She has more deaths in the world.
Sonya is the best. Oh. Oh, so close.
Finish him.
You unstoppable killing forces.
Finish him. Jason wins. Fatality.
And fire won't stop him.
Brutality. Jason wins.
Bounced off of him.
Yeah, he's had plenty of planes just thrown at him in real life.
Okay. Oh, that was crazy.
I
You accidentally did a brutality. Yes! You threw me up in the air like super far. And I landed on my head.
That's pretty great. Well, I gotta go.
Yeah.
That was fun. We're back.
Yeah, we're back. So
we didn't even announce anything.
Yeah. So we played. So Jason came out for Mortal Kombat X.
Yep.
And we tried that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
I mean, he looks cool.
Yeah.
His moveset's cool.
Yeah.
We
didn't really know any of his movesets or combos or any of that stuff, so we were kind of just playing around.
Yeah, I mean, for like, I would say the casual. I look at it as the casual fighting fan because I'm not going to take him into any tournament.
Well, of course.
Like, he's cool and he's definitely like he fits in with the Mortal Kombat universe.
Yeah.
And he's a good like on random he comes up and everyone's like, oh, cool, and it kind of
Yeah.
But in terms of like, I wouldn't play him that much.
Play as him?
Play as him.
Yeah.
Playing against him, sure, that'd be fun. But just like, your characters have the generic dialogue, just like, who are you? And then he just like walks in.
Yeah, because he doesn't talk, so there's not that fun banter between each match and stuff.
They still could have made it fun banter, and just like he's just standing there, and then they're just like, "Look at that stupid hockey man!" Like they could have made it, I guess, more.
I think
direct.
what they did is they're using the generic stuff they had already recorded. I don't think they recorded any new stuff for Jason. I think it was all just like, okay, this is the generic one thing. Rather than oh, this is the Sub-Zero banter, this is like, okay, this is generic one. Be like, hey, who are you? Or like, what's this?
I think they're going to say that, though, for him. I think they're going to say that for Predator. Like, that's
what I'm saying. I don't think they're going to say anything for the DLC characters.
Which is a shame, because they knew about these DLC characters. They could have had each person record one more line. Like,
well, we don't know how long ago they recorded their dialogue, and they recorded so much. Yeah, it's a cool feature that they added to the game. So it is a shame that it doesn't carry over to this DLC at least.
Like you can just have Sonya or Johnny Cage make one of his quips about how like hockey's so last year, something stupid. Like it doesn't have to be crazy. He doesn't have to like reference a deep cut from Friday the 13th Chapter 5. It's just like that machete's not going to do much against my blades of steel or whatever bullshit they want to pull out, but. Just like every character just being like, who are you supposed to be?
Yeah.
It's like...
But the Jason intro is pretty cool. Like the one where he drags basically it looks like a camp counselor, a dead blonde girl with a machete in her head. He's dragging her by her hair into the fight, and then he grabs the machete out of her face to start. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Or there's one where there's just a knife in his neck, and he just pulls the knife out and throws it down like it was nothing.
Yeah.
So there's 3 different variations like there are for every character. Slasher, he has a machete. He can use that. It's got a lot of distance. He has a lot of different combos and stuff he can use with the machete. Plus, he can like throw it, stuff like that. And then also there's a variation of all of his different moves, like the grab move and the throw. All that stuff then has the machete integrated into it. Then there's, I don't know what it's called, Unstoppable.
Sure.
Well, it's Relentless, Unstoppable, and Slasher. I just don't know which one is the one. I think Unstoppable is the one where he can resurrect. So that's a cool one. So like once he gets to 0 health, he's laying on the ground and he gets struck by lightning, and then he sits up real fast. It does like a sting, like a horror movie sting, and he has like 25% of health. Yeah. So he comes back to life. That's pretty cool. He also has the ability to that's the other one. So he has 2 different buffs now. Like he can have health regeneration, or he can have damage increase, which is cool. And then a move that is universal throughout the different 3 variations is I don't know what it's called, but basically you have this armor, and so like your body kind of glows yellow, and you can slowly walk at a person, and they can throw projectiles at you, they can hit you with combos and stuff, and it doesn't affect you as a character.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That lasts for a couple seconds, and then you fall asleep for a second just to sort of balance it, so you're not super overpowered all the time. And then the other variant, which is Relentless, I'm going to call it, has the ability to teleport. It's called Lake Mist, where you go through this fog that appears behind you, and then you show up behind the other character, which is really cool. One of the things that I said would be cool if he had a teleport.
Yeah.
And then he has Pursuit, which is he cracks his neck, and then the screen turns red, and then the opponent's controls are all mixed up, so they don't really know what to do, and so you can kind of run after them for a minute. So that's a fun little horror movie variation. I felt like, I think he looks like he could fit in this Mortal Kombat universe, and it does feel very uniquely Jason. Like everything they did, they tried to copy. I guess they watched all the movies. They tried to have all of his moves happen somewhere in one of the movies.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I think it works perfectly. I think it's great for like the casual, like comes up randomly, and you have friends and who aren't move list, people who maybe just play once in a while. I will say though, like, we played as Jason for like 4 rounds in a row.
Yeah,
and like once you learn, like Jason, like his
I knew like one combo, and so I kept trying to do it over and over again.
Well, no, but even like for the most part, like when you put those buffs on either one. It's just like all you have to do is like slowly walk backwards.
Yeah, and you figure that you could get rid of Pursuit. Well, what I should have done is when I have Pursuit, then I could have done the teleport behind you while you were backing up. That's what I should have done.
Yeah.
like if I knew how to actually use, if I knew the actual like special moves, and if I knew any combos, like I feel like it's one of the ones that he's one of the more harder characters to casually pick up and actually play well. Like you can do stuff,
Yeah.
but you can't be like really good at him. But I think if you get good at him, it's going to be really hard to fight against him. Like he's got, like I said, very powerful moves. He's got a lot of throws. He's got a lot of combos. And like just that one simple combo that I could do to you was doing 33% damage, which is ridiculous. So
yeah, I mean, like I can definitely see people getting good at him. I'm just like, again, I think he's more of just like fun, casual than like, I don't know if a lot of people would be training to be Jason.
I feel like he's almost overpowered. Like some of his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like
just trying to play against him as an AI character, he's just so hard to do anything against.
Yeah,
because they're so. I mean, the maybe it's just the AI, but like they're really good at pulling up that armor real quick and then doing combos and stuff. Because when they pull up the armor, you really can't
do anything. You just stay away.
Yeah.
Unless you could, somehow time it perfectly.
Right.
Where
X-rays can get through it, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Everything else, you just have to avoid him for a minute. But I think that like each of the variations has a really cool like Jason thing, a really cool horror movie thing, and like obviously it would be super unbalanced, but I think it would be cool if you could combine all those things. Like if there was one variant that had like the teleport and the resurrection and the machete, that would be a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, and then
it'd be crazy overpowered, but like as like a gimmicky thing, like if you could only play it, in person, like
in versus mode in person.
Something like that, or maybe just like test your luck or something like that. But it's just really fun. Like anytime they do like horror movie stuff, it's fun.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, like I really enjoyed playing as it. It made me wish that they'd put Freddy Krueger in, so you could finally have like, Freddy versus Jason, which would be really fun. But yeah, I mean, like I was the most sad of just like everyone just saying like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a really minor point, and most people probably either skip that or don't really pay attention. But it's just like, maybe it's because we played as Jason for like 5 rounds in a row.
Right.
So it's just like
over and over.
Just like like every different character just saying like, "Who are you?" different times. Like Kotal Khan, I felt like the first one kind of
sounded like it could have been.
Yeah. Because like Jason comes out first and pulls the machete, and then Kotal Khan's like, "I'm not impressed," and then like cuts his hand or whatever it is that he does. So it's just like, oh yeah, I mean, like that kind of makes sense that he's not impressed with the fact that he killed the camp counselor.
Right.
But then like every other character just being like, "Who are you supposed to be?" It's like, yeah, I get it. I mean, they'd probably say that because Jason's new to their world.
Yeah.
But I don't know. More quips. I'm always about more quips.
Yeah. I did play through him in the story mode though, the like tower story, and he does have his own like ending. So they at least put that into it.
Cool.
Yep.
Does he murder everyone?
Yeah, he murders everyone, and then somebody that ends up being the sort of the new ruler at the end of the cinematic story offers him like a job going to kill people for him, and instead he disembowels them and strangles them with their own guts. So
nice.
Yep, sticks with the character.
Yeah. All right. Wolfenstein.
So then after that, we played Wolfenstein: The Old Blood.
The papers Kessler prepared for you are in the glove box. There.
Okay, boss.
Commandant France. Frankfurt. Morgan. Guten Morgen.
Morgan. You don't actually have to use the connect to say it. And Morgan. Oh, oopsie. Don't mind me stealing your keys. And Morgan. Why I wish the connect worked.
Yeah.
Like, make a game where I actually have to see it.
Yeah, otherwise I'd know it's you.
I'll use portals. Let's see, what's portal grab? And Morgan. Guten Morgan. Guten Morgan. Guten Morgan. Morgan.
Stop! You just punched him in the face.
You don't need to show that. Brutal. Murdering dogs.
Robo dogs.
They
They're
have...
cyborgs. They're cyborgs. They have fur. Oh, shot his head clean off. I'm trying to read letters now.
I didn't know that's what I clicked on. I was trying to get the ammo. Can all targets stand still?
Right. Got him.
Super soldiers leashed up by the
I'm just gonna play drums on his back.
Saying like that wasn't.
I mean, maybe if you get like a full melody out, he'll die. But
If he
sorry
did.
when he died.
Kill one of your buddies.
Give him the gun now, though.
Try it! I tried, and then I failed, Yeah, which is the prequel.
Yeah, it is the prequel to the New Order, which came out last May.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2014 May. And you haven't played the New Order, right?
No.
And so all we were able to play was the prologue and the first chapter.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is the best vertical slice of the game to talk about.
No.
But we can just say what we saw.
Sure. It looks great.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to say that for most games playing Xbox One. They all look great.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, it's your first person shooter, but I also think it's definitely more classically rooted first person shooter. There's not so much like crazy weapons and jumping and like getting up against walls and all that kind of stuff. It's more of just like, here's your classic, pistol, shotgun, assault rifle. Of course, that's just what we ran into.
Yeah, there was like a big
around.
weapon wheel, and there's clearly other weapons. Like the last thing we did was pick up a new sort of grenade launcher pistol that looked like that could be fun to use, but we never got a chance to use it because that was the end of our playthrough.
But like, I mean, the enemies are. I mean, like, it's everything that you explained about, like, what the New Order was. Where it's like, you can be stealthy, but you can also kind of go
guns blazing if you want to. Or if you mess up the stealth, then you have the option. You don't have to, like, restart the level. You can then try to fight your way out of it.
Yeah. Story, obviously, we only played through a chapter, so I can't really comment on that. So, like, he gets thrown in prison, and then he's just busting out. So it's just like, okay, that's fine. I can see where that's going.
Yeah, that's another problem, too. The only chapter that we played through of the actual story was us breaking out of the prison, so it was, like, 90% stealth-based.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's fine. I'm sure
that's
the other...
how I play the game, mainly.
That's how I play through the New Order for the most part. Anytime I could do stealth, I pick that over guns blazing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's also going to ramp up to some sort of, bigger fights or boss fights, things like that. And also, like, I like that, there's the option to always go one or the other, but then they also give you those moments where it's like, okay, no, you have to fight a couple enemies right now. You have to shoot some guys. Because they do have sort of fun gameplay, and there's some good action, and, the music picks up, and you get to see a variation. If it was a game of just slowly crouch walking behind walls while you wait for somebody to walk by, it wouldn't be that much fun.
No, it's having both. That's where it's just like, if I miss this guy or he turns around and sees me, I can pull out a pistol and I can still shoot him, as opposed to just like,
gotta restart.
I only can take one hit or two hits. So yeah, I mean, like, it's just one of those. So far, it's definitely, it's cheap too, because it's not a full price game.
Yeah, cheap as far as the price goes, not as like production value.
Yeah. It still looks great, and the production values still seem high because they probably just use the same engine from the New Order, so they don't really have to rewrite anything. But it's only it's $15 on PC. It's probably $15 on Xbox One. 20.
Yeah, I think it's $15-20.
So it's like it's half price game. Obviously, that we don't know how long it is.
So it's supposedly it's 9 chapters, and also then there's challenge modes, which is just each of those chapters, but then like one sort of area. Also, like, as we found out, so for every level every chapter there's actually a level of the original Wolfenstein game in there also.
Yeah.
Or Wolfenstein 3D, I should say.
Yeah. which
So do you want to talk about that?
yeah, I mean, just briefly, like I loved Wolfenstein 3D.
Yeah.
Who didn't?
Right.
I mean, who played it? I mean, because it's just one of your great original first-person shooters.
Right.
In
In a lot of ways, it's the grandfather of first-person shooters.
It's fun that they put it in the new game, and they even kind of like gave your guy like he looks new. He's got the pistol from the original game, not from the original Wolfenstein 3D, but from the New Blood.
Yeah, the Old Blood.
Old
so
Blood,
yeah,
New
so you
Blood.
have like your character, like you can't see yourself, like it does this little pixelated thing. So the way you get in and out of that is you fall asleep. Like you go to a bed and you fall asleep, and it's called a nightmare. So it's supposed to be like a flashback of like you fighting Nazis from a long time ago. But it has like your hand and your guns, whatever you have in the normal game will then carry over to the old stuff, which is fun and crazy. Like it mixes it up a little bit. It makes it certainly easier, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because when you have like a giant machine gun that you can tote in against guys,
and you can lean around corners, and they can't really shoot around the corner.
Yeah, they still have to walk in their little terrible 3D motion.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super easy, but it was easier than the original game.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. There's, they kept everything pretty much intact. They changed, like the money that's normally on the ground. They have, like silver and pieces of food and stuff like that, like they would be from the original game. They kept secrets involved where, you have to walk and press spacebar against every wall to try and find the secret. I mean, it's fun. I would have liked at the end of the nightmare when you beat it, just kind of have that stat screen come up.
It wouldn't make sense as far as the story goes, but it would be fun as far as nostalgia goes.
Because
you wanted to know if we got 100% of the secrets.
Well, yeah. Because there's there was the items, there's enemies, and there's secrets with the 3 categories. So it's just like the first level, like I literally went every wall and tried to open up every wall because I couldn't remember where the secrets were. And just I found a couple, but it's just like, maybe I want to get at them all.
Yeah.
My big thing is, and that came towards the end. Well, my issue and then my question is, my issue is that it seems like it was so much harder to pick items up in the Nightmare than in
it definitely
the real
was.
game.
Yeah.
Like you could walk, like it just says X when you're standing on an item or looking at an item to pick it up.
Yeah.
But like we could just be pressing X the whole time and then walk back and forth
And
over
it
an
wouldn't
item,
have gotten it.
and it wouldn't. Like you have to like almost like stop and look down at it, and like then press X, and that's just really.
I think part of it is the old school like weapon pickup or like item pickup where you had to be in a much smaller range, and also because they've added the like Y-axis, you can look around and all that stuff that wasn't there in the original game. That might have made it a little bit more difficult too, where they want you to make sure you're looking at exactly what you want to pick up. Yeah,
but then my question is how do some of these pickups actually translate? Because obviously, like, health is health and armor is armor, guns are guns. But, like,
silver?
You could pick up
we don't know
silver,
what silver did.
And there was a lot of it, but there was no, like, tally mark.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, you've gotten 20 out of 50 silvers in the world, which could have been their, like, treasure modifier. But it's just like, we picked up so much, but
it didn't get us anything. I think it's because, when we were doing the stream, I mentioned that I think it's just a 1-to-1 translation. Like, if there was coins here, now there's silver here. Yeah. So you can't use it in the real game because technically it's just a dream anyways. But yeah, it is a little bit weird that you have things that don't carry over, and then you don't get any sort of stat screen.
Like, I get it. Like, they want to do a 1-to-1. They really want to keep it authentic to the original. But then it's almost just like, if this has no purpose in the Nightmare and it has no purpose in the game, and you're literally just putting it there for me to look at, it's just like, well, then you could probably just make it look like the old gold or whatever, and I can just walk over and it doesn't pick it up.
That's true.
Like you could have, because they had like some of the like
they probably
the
just did an item
swap.
Textures.
Yeah. So like they could have just had it just be like, oh look, it's those terrible looking gold bricks that I can just walk through. Because I was dead set on like I got to pick up all of these the first time, and then just like, well, I don't. This doesn't
I think
do anything.
Part of it was our fault in the way we were playing it, and the way that we care about this so much, because this is like an added bonus secret in an expansion pack. You know what I mean?
Be the main game.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time doing it, but it is supposed to be just like a secret. Like the first one, I had already found out, so I told you where it was. Yeah. Like, and you had to get that special key, then open that gate, and then go downstairs and find that bed. So it is just supposed to be a little Easter egg. It's not supposed to be. You're not supposed to spend an hour on the level like we did.
Well,
yeah.
too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's fun. I definitely would consider getting it. I'd probably want to play the
New Order
first, even though this is technically a prequel.
Yeah.
I'd still probably want to get that before I get this one. But yeah, I mean, like it piques my interest.
Yeah, I mean, it had a little bit of the flavor that the New Order did that I think is going to pay off a little bit more later because we didn't get very far into it. But, like, right off the bat, it introduces you to different characters, not just the guys that you're with, but, like, you know, that giant, tall, blonde, like, muscular Nazi guy. Like, you have to deal with him. Then later on, you see him with his dogs in the prison and stuff, and I'm sure you're going to have to deal with him head-to-head. Like, oh, he's the one that founds you too and throws you into prison, and then as you're escaping the prison, that's when you see him with the dogs and stuff. So that's going to be interesting. I know there's going to be some sort of story there where like he's a sub boss or something. And I'm sure the weapons are going to get more exciting and the combat and stuff. But you have a new weapon now. You have this sort of melee pipe multi-tool. It can kind of do a whole bunch of different stuff. I kind of like that there's a different stuff you could do with it and different animations. You know, like you could use it like as in two pieces of the pipe, and then you could climb walls with it. That sort of climbing the wall mechanic was kind of interesting. You can use it to like melee enemies to death. You can jimmy open gates. You can put it under a gate and then slide under it and grab it. Just fun things like that. Yeah, you can use it as a hook to pull down a ladder. Just, you know, like I said, a multi-tool that does everything. Yeah. But it was a fun, interesting little mix-up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like even though we only played a little bit, like I was still entertained with it, and it'd still be something, like I said, I'd go and I'd play more of. There wasn't anything that really gave me too much pause besides, like, you know, super minor stuff. Just being like, oh, I want the silver to count for something, or stuff like that. But obviously that's super minor. Obviously, if we played more of the game and maybe got 5 chapters in out of 9, I could be like, oh, the plot's weak or something like that. But I mean, I guess the biggest flaw is not having the Kinect react to when I was speaking German.
So Phil, tell everybody what you learned today.
Well, it's just I wanted to, because they make the whole beginning of the prologue is them basically saying to BJ Blazkowicz that his German is terrible.
So don't say anything.
But like as he's getting out of the car, he's like practicing.
Like there's like an inner monologue in his head of him whispering to himself, like "Guten Tag, good morning,
Guten Tag," and it's just like, and then he eventually just says, "Forget it." But then I walked through the whole level just talking to all the Germans through Kinect and saying Guten Tag.
Yeah, that was a funny suggestion we had, that it would be funny if you had to actually say it when you're going through checkpoints and showing your passports. And if you don't say it like close enough, they know you're not German.
But I mean, whatever.
That's another game. We'll have to save that for one of our 3-word pitch games.
When the word German comes up.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it?
I liked it. It didn't grab me right away like the New Order did. Mm-hmm. And I think because it's chapter based, because I think it's going to be a slower build. But like it had some elements there. Just because I played the New Order, I know like, okay, this is fun. Like this is going to pay off. It seemed like even though we played 2 levels of prologue and chapter 1, it still felt like it was a tutorial. Like it was just slowly giving us stuff. Like we didn't get a new gun until the very end of the first chapter. But there were some fun things. There was some mixing, like they mixed it up a little bit. Like there was like the on-rail shooter there at the very end where you're on a boat and you have like a machine gun and So I think the chapter 2 is when it starts to actually become more like the New Order. I think that's you breaking into the Castle Wolfenstein, and I think you didn't really get to experience, but you have multiple ways to do things, or you have multiple paths you can take. So not just stealth and guns blazing, but like I think chapter 2, from what I saw, was like, okay, you have to get through this gate, and it's got 2 switches, and you gotta go 2 different ways to it. So like you can like break into this mansion, or you can like keep taking the boat down the river, and then like you can circle. So basically, it's like a little sandbox level where you can go. You don't have to do like one thing after another. You can sort of choose where to go or what to do, or like, oh, I'm gonna go try to kill these commanders first, or oh, I'm gonna go, whatever.
Yeah, I think that. Like, once it opens up is probably just when it gets super fun, because then you can just go, like, I can go stealth through here, or I can go guns blazing through here, and it's different parts of the level that'll get me to the same spot at the end. Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe when I play through it more, you can come back and you can try one of the or later chapters.
Yeah.
Also, there's a challenge mode. So after you play through a chapter, you unlock the challenge mode equivalent, which is basically, I think it's just you're in one room.
It's probably like the toughest gunfight in the chapter.
Right.
So like for the first one, it's when you're after you do a radio call and there's a bunch of guards that see you, and then they all just kind of flood in.
Yeah, and so you get points for things like headshots, or you can multiply your score by chaining enemies together without a lot of time passing in between. And there's a timer. You also get points based on time, and there's a limited number of enemies that you have to kill, and once you do, you get a certain point.
Yeah.
So
and then
yeah.
And
So
I'm
it's
sure
not
that
like it's not like a
unlocks
survival thing where you just sit there and try to kill as many enemies as you can or get to. Like the timer doesn't count down from 10 and you do whatever you can. It's like, okay, kill these enemies as fast as you can. Don't die. I think probably if you switched up weapons or got like melees, or I know you get points for headshots, things like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure all that stuff is calculated in.
Yeah, and then you can choose the difficulty that you do that stuff at.
Cool.
Yep, but that certainly is a fun standalone expansion pack. The only really other one I've played recently was the Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, which was amazing. It was great. I think I probably had more... I didn't play Far Cry 3, but I'm sure that I liked it more than if I would have played the actual Far Cry 3.
You would have liked Blood Dragon more than the original game.
Yeah, definitely. Because it had, it was all 80s and lasers and robots and blood dragons.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, I'm only about realism.
Yeah. Oh, Payday 2 is coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Did you hear that?
Did not hear it. I have a free copy of Payday 2 on my computer that I've never booted up.
Yeah, I think it might have been free for a while on Xbox or something. I know there's like 1,000 different DLC packs for it.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like I think every other day they're releasing new masks and stuff to wear, which could be cool. But Payday 2 is one of those games that, without a dedicated group of friends, it has got to be awful.
Right, because it's all about building up your team and pulling off a heist, right? And you get to choose how you want to do it. Like, oh, do I want to try to, break in the back, or do I want to go in guns blazing, sort of thing?
Yeah.
But I guess it's coming out June 16th for the new gen consoles, and they said like everything. I'm sure it doesn't have all the DLC because I know
it probably has a big set. Maybe it has like the levels and stuff like
anything
that
you probably had to actually pay for, because I know they came out with like Hotline Miami like skins, and they came out with skins for like every movie that came out in like 1 year. They just kept releasing skins for it.
I think they probably have a Disney Frozen skins where it's Elsa murdering a bunch of people. But
yeah, but that was one of the games I think it was really good idea, and I think it came too late in the last generation cycle, so people were kind of ignored it. People weren't really buying new games at that point. And then I think with the success of Battlefield Hardline, which is basically trying to rip off Payday and Payday 2, they're like, okay, I guess there's a market for this. We're just going to re-release it.
Well, the thing is, like, I agree. I think the idea itself is great. I mean, it's just one of those games when we had a whole episode about cooperative games. It's just like it's not the same anymore because we just don't have the friends list because I think, again, it's like a 4-person team, and I think you can even have people be the cops. So just be like, it'd be great to have a group of 5 or 6 buddies and have, whatever, 3-on-3 or something like that, and try and like see if they can plan a heist and get away with it accordingly. But
I don't know if this game does that. I don't think it does, but it would be interesting if there was like a set group of, let's say we're going to go into a match with 8 guys, right? 4 or 5 of them are randomly assigned to be the robbers, and then like 4 of them are the cops, but there's, or like, security guards or whatever, but there's, 10 possible security guards that are there, and you don't know which one is human controlled and which one is not. So, like, you can sort of try to trick them, or you can see if they're going through, like, AI paths or something, but they might just be faking it, and they might actually be, like, like the other team.
They might actually be the Paul Blart.
Yeah.
It stops a whole bank robbery.
Like, it would be cool to, like, maybe be one of the hostages, too. But, like, be, like, a plant, and, like, be trying to help the cops as one of the hostages.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea, but I could already see pitfalls.
Oh, of course.
Of just, like, because I think the whole thing with Payday 2 is that if you can get in, I think if you can do a perfect heist, the cops don't get called.
Right, but I'm sure there's at least probably one security guard at the bank.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking like,
what if you were like, okay, you're one of the human controls characters is like the bank manager, and like so like okay, you have to force the bank manager to like open up the safe or something, but maybe as you're playing as him, maybe you could like try to hit the alarm or try to do these other things to like.
But like, wouldn't you then like, because you know that your bank is going to be robbed, like hit the alarm just like right off the bat? You're like
No, I don't think
you can go.
No.
Like, it's not like the payday guys can go like down the street and then you've just.
No, like you obviously can't do anything until they get there. Like if you hit the alarm before they're there, then you lose.
That's the game.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so
Yeah.
I feel like it just is not a button that you can press until they show up. And I feel like it's one of those things where like they have you hostage. They're using you as a shield or something. They're leading you along. Maybe like you can't get to there or see it until you have to go through those steps. Maybe you put like die packs in the bags as you're putting the money in, like
yeah, I mean, it'd be
like a risk
interesting
reward
to see
situation. Like they might catch you and they might just shoot you then, or
yeah. I mean, I think if I knew if I was playing with my buddies, I'd just shoot everyone.
well, that's I think the interesting thing is if you don't know who's human control and who's not.
Yeah. If you always kind of have that element of surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never, like I said, I got it free with my system.
Yeah,
on my
I don't
computer, and I've
like
just never played it.
I don't know if it would work in the Payday 2 mechanics, but I think it would be an interesting, like, fun heist sort of game.
Yeah, but I think it's also one of those games that is not single player at all.
No, it's online only. It's just the heist mode.
Yeah, like I don't even think you can take like 3 AI and do a heist. I think it's legit. Like connect. Like there's probably a tutorial, and then it's probably like just play the game.
Do you know if there's like matchmaking or anything in it, or do you have to? I'm sure there's got to be, right?
There's got to be.
Even if there wasn't before, there's got to be in this generation. Otherwise, I don't think it would be worth like putting out again.
Yeah, there's got to be because I don't think it was only like party stuff. I think it was just like join a lobby and maybe you can pick like cop side, robber side.
Did you see Conan O'Brien play The Witcher 3?
I did.
That was pretty great. I mean, they're all kind of the same at this point, all of his videos, but it's still entertaining.
He doesn't do them often enough that they get old.
Right.
So that's the good thing. It's like, all of them are just like he wants to see a naked lady, which is great.
But this game actually provides that for him.
Yeah.
So also, a while back now, it's been a couple weeks, I played the final DLC for Sunset Overdrive.
Yep.
It's called like The Rise of the Fall of the Machines or something like that. It was play on a bunch of different movies, both sci-fi and, you know, like Planet of the Apes and Terminator, stuff like that. But it's all based in the Fizco company, which is the robot faction, the like company that's taking over. And so you sort of break into the Fizco, the robot factory, and you're dressed up as a robot, which is you just have a bunch of, like, you have like a cardboard box in your head that's painted like a robot, and that's supposed to get you by. I don't entirely know why you do it other than for that joke, because the robots still recognize you and still shoot at you. So it's just for the joke of you looking ridiculous. You can, I think, buy one security wall with it, but it's kind of crazy. But as far as DLC goes, it was fun. It was interesting. It was different. They try to mix things up a little bit. You have the ability to take control now of some robots. Like, you can program them to fight for you for a little while. Mm-hmm. Also, there was this interesting new mechanic where you became this giant ball.
Okay.
Then you had to, like, roll on different electrical outlets to get energy, and then you could, like, stop it, and you had to, you know. In theory, it was really cool, and it was definitely a different way to mix up the gameplay. But in reality, the controls were so clunky and so frustrating that it didn't feel right. Like, I like they tried to do it, and you think, okay, this giant, like, metal ball that rolls around with electricity, okay, that's going to be fun and easy. But for whatever reason, like, because they built the world, so you're constantly, like, not on the ground.
Yeah.
And so you were just bumping into things, you couldn't really jump. And so you had, like, a ground smash, but it didn't really get you that much height. And so, like, I thought I just wasn't doing a good job of it. Like, at first, I'm like, oh, this is really cool, this is really fun. Then by the end of what I was supposed to do, my objectives, okay, that was really frustrating. It should have been that hard to do. Then when I went online and played the Chaos Squad for that DLC, everyone was saying how, like, that was the worst part because you just couldn't control it right. And for a game that's all about controls,
ease of movement, stuff like that.
Fluid movement, That's like a big sticking point. Also, I mean, they took their meta self-reflexive to a whole new level. Like, the boss that you beat is the guy that works for the company that always does videos for them. Like, they have like weekly diaries that come out, and that you can also view those in the game. You go to the game, there's this little TV. It's called Sunset TV, and it's like a live action guy that just sits there and it's like, hey, this week we have this, and hey, if you want like a new skin, vote for this skin or that skin, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so for what you have to do is beat him. He's a giant boss. There's just a bunch of TV screens, and you have to kill him. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
The actual fight was interesting and fun, but the fact that it was like, okay, you had to fight this guy, like, I don't know. I just don't think any of their jokes are funny for the most part.
Yeah,
they just try really hard.
That's what I've heard. It's like it's one of those games where it's just like the comedy's either, you love it,
Yeah,
or
it's
you
either
hate
hilarious to you or you can't stand it.
Yeah, and I feel like I side with you, where it's just like constantly referencing that this is a video game.
Yeah.
And that here's all this hilarious stuff we put in. It's just like, okay, you're trying too hard. I don't find it funny.
Yeah.
But I've talked to, the guy that I game with on Sunday,
Yeah.
who like tells me like Sunset Overdrive is his favorite game because it's hilarious, and you're just like, your humor is very different than mine.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it just doesn't hit the right chord with me.
Yeah.
And once I turned that corner of deciding it wasn't funny, I don't think anything really was going to... Like, a couple things here and there I'll smile at, or be like, oh, that's clever. Like, just his cardboard outfit, okay, that was silly. But then when there's no, like, payoff to it, I was like, okay, well, now I don't even know why you did that other than just the joke.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of cutscenes that are try to reference things. Like, there's, like, an Office Space reference now and things like that. I mean, I don't know. It's been a while since I played it. As far as DLC goes, I would say that it is fun. It is good. I wish it was part of the original game. Just kind of like I said with the other DLC.
Yeah.
Like, this would be a good side couple of missions to do. Because different enemies, different variations, things like that. But it wasn't... I don't think it's enough to pay the money for. Like, if I wouldn't have gotten the DLC pack on sale or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I got the stupid title update ones. And I was like, okay, now I got to buy the DLC. I don't think this is a must-have.
Yeah, at least you got it as a deal.
Yeah.
So you just got to be happy with that aspect.
Yeah, no, I'm not upset that I played it. And I had more fun playing the 2 DLC packs than I did for parts of the story. Mm-hmm. So if they would have even taken out, the same amount of percentage of the story and added this stuff in instead, I think that made a better game overall for me.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. Also, I'm playing Rise now.
Don't talk about that.
I don't want to talk about it. All right, I guess that was an episode, a little bit shorter than usual.
Yeah. Sometimes, we're just going to have them.
Yeah. I mean, we're, like we talked about, we're kind of in
You're gonna shoot off early.
Yeah, we're going to blow our load early.
Yep.
We're in the playoff blackout dates, sort of, so It's hard, especially with the Bulls and the Blackhawks playing every other day, because the scheduling, since they have the same home stadium, they got to play it that way.
Yeah.
That just means that every night we have something to watch.
Yes.
And can never spend time playing video games like we're supposed to.
Yeah, like idiots.
Yeah.
We're watching sports.
Plus with the TA contest, and we're sort of still cruising along on that.
Yeah.
Those two factors make it so I haven't been playing that much. I haven't really been playing new games.
Yeah, I know this is an outro, and I should have mentioned this for a podcast.
It's
but,
fine.
I will never do this contest in TA again.
Yeah, you think because this isn't fun anymore? Is that what you're gonna say?
No, it's not. It's not even that this isn't fun anymore. It's just that it had the complete opposite effect on gaming that I wanted it to have.
Yeah, at least this point in the contest.
The whole contest up to this point.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
From page 1 to we're 4 months in.
Yeah,
like it's been a while. It started in January. We're in May, so we've done all of April, and we're in May, and just like for 4 months. It has been awful, and it might get good for 3 weeks, but chances are we're going to be eliminated.
No, I think it's going to get super hard, super fast. It's going to go from not being fun in this way to not being fun, and we can't catch up. There's going to be millions of points. We're going to play a bunch of games and not be able to get past that week.
Yeah.
So
it's like I'm just keep thinking like I just want to finish games, but I can't because I'm just like I don't want to waste these achievements.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way, and that's why I didn't want to start a new game. I didn't want to do it. That was one of the reasons. It took me not a long time overall, but so long to beat Mortal Kombat X was because I'm like, okay, I got more than enough achievements. I got to save this for next week and stuff. And I was like, oh, I don't want to get all these achievements right now because it's just going to hurt me next week when the TA score changes and it's negative now. So I'm going to space it out. I could have been probably top 50 to beat the game on TA, but instead I was like, no, I'm spreading this all out.
No.
Oh, I wanted to try a new segment called "Wait, what am I doing?" Because I've had these little mini video game epiphanies recently.
And it's anytime you're playing a video game?
It's basically anytime I've been playing any of these games recently. One of the first ones that I had was with Destiny. I've had a couple different "Wait, what am I doing?" in Destiny. I'll mention the one that I had a couple weeks ago, though, where basically all the DLC had been announced. I knew the way the upgrades were going to work, but I was still playing a lot every week because I had sort of a resurgence in it. I was trying to get all the gear, so I had all the gear. I had all the raid gear, and I had that all leveled up. I had all the exotic weapons. I had that all leveled up. I had every raid weapon. I had everything. Basically, I had everything in the game, and I didn't realize it, and I just kept playing. And then I had that moment. I was like, wait, what am I doing? I'm not playing towards anything because I know that I don't have to build up these resources now to upgrade next time. Yeah. I'm not, if I play the raid every week, I'm just going to get more stuff. Because, there was that big update where they've expanded the size of your vault and stuff. I've already maxed that out. In 2 weeks now, I'm once again at max capacity. So it's I can't play anymore because I'm just going to get more stuff that I have nowhere to put or nowhere to really use. And so, I had that moment. I was like, wait, what am I doing? I'm spending so much time playing this game every week, which is fine. I'm still having fun playing it, so that's okay. But it's I could be spending it doing other things.
Yeah.
I need to stop playing these for a couple of weeks just because there's going to be new DLC that's going to come out and brand new stuff to play. So I'm going to play this again. It's not like I'm putting this game down forever.
Yeah.
But wait, what am I doing? Now, the time that this happened more recently was I was playing the Mortal Kombat X mobile game just because I was trying to get the 100 multiplayer wins. And then I finally was like, wait, what am I doing? I've completed Mortal Kombat X, right? And so all I was doing is just to get skins anyways, but I'm not really going to be playing this game on a daily basis anymore. Plus, I already have 6 skins for this character. Why do I need to get this other skin? Why do I need to spend...
It's completionist in you.
Yeah, but it's I could do only up to 5 matches an hour in this multiplayer thing because the way that how many energies it takes, and that's you then have to win them all too. And the first 2 days I got to 50. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fine. I'm just gonna play this for a few more days. And then it got stupid hard. It was pairing me up against because I had won so many. I think it does a mini matchmaking.
Yeah.
Where then I was playing guys that were 50 levels above me, and for a card based fighting game that's all to do with stats, I had no chance.
Yeah.
So. Yep. I think that's all. I had some other ones, but whatever. That was enough.
Okay. Well, again, that was an episode.
That was an episode once again.
You can follow us on Twitter at NotFunPodcast. We have an email. This isn't funny more podcast at gmail.com.
Yep.
We have a webpage. You can figure that out on your own. We have Facebook. Yup.
Yeah, we got a YouTube, which keep an eye on that if you're interested in listening to videos.
Yeah.
If we do enough streams and I feel like editing them together, they might end up on there at some point. Or I can just put the full streams on there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't really matter.
It'd be boring.
Yeah, this stream was not as fun as the MKX stream that we did last time. No. Because we were talking and having fun. I'm like, whoa, gross.
There's a lot of high fives.
But for this, we were being stealthy. We were just kind of sitting through, just paying attention to what was happening in the game. There was a lot of nose to walls.
Yeah.
Trying to find secret doors.
Yeah. This one would probably not be a good video.
I didn't want to tell you because you had already played through the Wolfenstein 3D level, but there are a bunch of secrets in the actual levels that you play also.
Running up to walls?
Not running up to walls, but there's in the first game, in one of the first levels, it was pull the knight. There's a knight with a sword. If you pull the sword, then it opens up a secret passage and you can go in there. There's ones where there's the craziest one. You have to pick up a phone call at the right time, and then you input a code, and then that opens up a safe. And then I don't know. There's a bunch of cool stuff. Every level, I think every other level has at least one sort of secret passage. So
Well, I'll look for that next time I play.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
We will see you next week.
How's that, Cat's Pajamas? Old school, going
Bringing it
retro in
back.
it. Yeah.